This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WPSL. However, we're the ones that encourage you to like and share them on social media and with all of your friends. Click the like button and share too. It's time for Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World and hosted by Joanne Seeger.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So I just want to tell you, I am caffeine-free 3 days now. So, you know, I love it. No headache, no withdrawal so far. Knock on some wood.
Wow.
So if anyone's been following my journey, I just mix some Ticino in. I cut the caffeine, gradually, and now caffeine-free. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Wow.
I can be labeled caffeine-free.
You make me
feels
feel
great.
jealous.
So if anyone out there is thinking they can't do it, they can. You can do it. So just give me a call, drop by the store, and I'll help you.
Perhaps it requires that you got to want to do it, too. If you really want to do it, there's a way to do it.
That's right. There's a way. And you know what I love the most about the guest that I'm going to have on today?
Ooh, that's not fair to ask me that.
I know, right?
This guest has been on before.
I know, many times. But what I love is that he likes to partake in the breath work. So we have to introduce him before the breath work so he can be part of it. So any newbies listening, welcome to the show. And all my longtime listeners, thank you for sticking with us. We have Burt Goulding Jr., Positive Power Nutrition, on the line with us. Good morning, Burt.
Good morning, Joanne.
I love how you always giggle like I giggle. I just love it. It's awesome. So how you doing, Burt? You doing okay?
Yeah, doing great. And I'm so excited about your caffeine-free journey. This is, oh my goodness.
It's miraculous.
Yeah, that is going to make my whole day.
Well, you know what's so funny is because I have so much energy naturally in the morning, so I said to myself, I'll just have my cup of coffee in the afternoon, for that typical afternoon drag feeling. But I find that I haven't needed it. So it's kind of like the fact that I told myself I could have it if I wanted to do it, it made it easier. So there we go. So I'm still hyper and jolly without the caffeine. So yay, yay, yay. All right. Well, Burt, are you ready for the breath work?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so newbies, this is super simple but really important, okay? So we're going to exhale out any drama, stress, fear, anxiety, any of that out. And then we're going to take in positive calmness, just patience, just breathe it in through your nose for 5, hold for 5, and exhale only using your nose for 5. And Cliff, let's just do 2 rounds because we have so much to talk about.
Oh, yes.
All right, everyone,
Are
let's
we
exhale.
Ready? Okay. Now begin intake through the nostrils. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, one more. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I definitely feel grounded and better. How about you, Burt?
Oh, yeah.
You feeling good? Okay. Oh, did you fall asleep? It sounds like you fell asleep there for a sec.
If you do it long enough, you can go into dream state.
I know. I love it. I love it. Yeah, so definitely highly recommend. All right, so Burt, we've talked about so many great things, and but I always kind of think I'm hoping that we have newbies listening. So would you like to just spend a few minutes to give yourself a little intro and tell everyone who Burt Goulding Jr. is?
Yes, I'd love to. I have been working as a clinical nutritionist for the past 18 years, and with that, not being a doctor, I have doctors that refer nutritional clients over to me. So I've worked with about 5,000 people, which has given me a real I mean, it's not just a couple of people with a few things, but you get to see so much. So what I've learned is that if you can balance all of the physical intakes from water, sleep, food, exercise, and get it all balanced, the person can be a lot happier, a lot healthier.
Oh, gosh, you got that summed up real fast. I love it. All right. And I would definitely say, I think sometimes people want us to like really get complicated with them, to get them back to balance, as you mentioned, and it really isn't that complicated. It's just a lot of common sense, and I think sometimes people are looking for big fancy solutions, and it's just really common sense, right?
Oh yeah, and it is very simple, and sometimes people may feel like, oh, I want to do something different. I don't want to, do the same program because it's boring or whatever. But it's not. Getting well and feeling well is an exciting thing.
It is, and it takes time and patience. And I hope that everything that we talk about today, people realize that it's not instant, but it definitely is worth sticking with to see the results. So, awesome. So, Burt, we have to first, I know we're going to talk about a lot of good things today, but I really want you to we'll touch on cell power because I love it. I still use it daily, all day long, and it's still the #1 seller at the store. But can you just touch on cell power and what that is special for and why people need it?
Yes, cell power is, as the name of the product implies, it helps raise the power or the electrical energy at the cell membrane level inside the body for all of the cells. So for adults, we have some 50 to 70 trillion human cells that are all individual living entities, each cell is, and yet they all work together, and that's what makes up our physical body. So cell power was discovered 71 years ago. It's made from completely dissolved fruits, vegetables, vegetable protein. It's energized by sunlight to make one batch of this liquid. It comes in a little dropper bottle that you just squeeze to count your drops into your drinking water. But to make one batch, it takes at least 7.5 months minimum. We do it about a year and 7 months, which has doubled the electrical power. It has an electrical potential that we actually measure on every batch before we bottle it and send it out. So it's going to help your body be able to have the energy it needs to function properly and to fix things.
Okay, that's wow, you're getting really good at this, Burt. You got everything down pat. Okay, so now there might be some people out there that are saying, well, I eat my fruits and vegetables. I don't think I need this because, I do a couple steamed veggies at dinner and maybe a little side salad at lunch. So what are your thoughts on that approach?
Well, you're not taking cell power to get the fruits and veggies because they've already been dissolved down to the molecular size. It's in the angstrom size of particles. So what it's done is it's already been converted to energy. So each of our digestive systems will go ahead and take the fruits and vegetables or all the foods that we eat and will break it down as small as it possibly can, releasing energy. But this has already been pre-digested. I have some naturopathic doctors that tell me that they actually use the cell power drops mixed with purified or distilled drinking water, which is what it says on the label. They'll mix that up and they will actually help patients that have like a G feeding tube, meaning that it's already at a pre-digested size. It already has the energy readily available. So yeah, eat your fruits and vegetables. You're going to be getting a lot of good minerals that way. You're going to be getting some good things. But if you want to increase the energy available for better sleep, for better muscle contraction, muscle relaxation, all the things that your body needs electrical energy for. If you want that, then cell power is the easiest way. I mean, not that maybe going to the store and finding that good fruits and vegetables and washing it and cutting it up and eating it, that's not difficult. But certainly putting 4 drops of cell power in a 16-ounce or more glass of purified or distilled water, I think, is a lot simpler. I do it throughout the day just like you do, Joanne.
Yep, it's very simple. I love it, and you can throw it in your bag. It's super convenient, super affordable, easy. And as far as pH goes, like what would be like a lot of people are still drinking alkaline water, and you've taught me. I think it's at least a couple years ago on the show about the difference with alkaline water and using cell power. Can you tell the audience about those differences?
Yes, when you're drinking high pH alkaline water, it can give you a temporary effect of balancing out a person that's too acidic. Now we're not talking about stomach acid; that's kind of in its own system. But the rest of the body needs to be just slightly alkaline. So when you're drinking alkaline water, it's a very temporary effect. If you stop drinking it within 72 hours, your body goes right back to the same acidic state that it was before. With cell power, it's helping the body actually fix the problem for the long term. When I'm sure we've talked about this before, but when I first tested my fasting saliva pH to get a true pH reading of my body, it was about 17 years ago. And when I tested it, it came out and showed that I was 5.5, which is extremely acidic. And I thought, oh, this must be wrong. Maybe I had some food in the last 3 hours, which means you won't get a true result. So I waited till the next morning. When I got up first thing in the morning, I tested again, and I was 5.5. And I was eating the right kinds of organic, chemical-free fruits and vegetables, great food, exercising, doing all the right things. But I had a lot of bottled-up stress. So when you talk about how I love your breathing exercises on the show, it's that bottled-up, unresolved stress, which can keep a person in the acidic range. So when I first got pH balanced using cell power, I have now been in the pH balanced range every week for the last 17 years, except for 3 times. 3 times I went out of range, and it was a wake-up call as to something I needed to adjust. But it means that not because I've been taking cell power every single day for 17 years, but because once the body gets truly balanced, it's not the same as trying to force it into that range every day, which is what people do with the alkalized water. It's not that alkalized water can't force your body into that range, but the body doesn't like the way that it's doing that, and so it goes right back to where it was.
Yep, just giving the body what it needs to run effectively and efficiently. I love that. All right, sounds great. Well, we brought in recently one of your products. It's on camera. Your it's okay. I'll leave it there. So if anyone wants to watch us live, you can see it on the camera. So the circulation factors, if you can talk about that one. Circulation is a big issue. As I got older, I felt like, I don't feel like I have the circulation like I used to, and it gets worrisome. Your mind goes to sometimes really negative places. Is it diabetes? Is it my arteries? Is it affecting my heart, my eyes, my vision? There's so many thoughts that go through your mind. So circulation is a big deal. But can you kind of give us just a one-on-one on what the circulatory system, like circulation, is in general?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because I thought, I hope we have time to talk about that. That your body is circulating both blood and lymph fluid. Now, for every pint of blood, we have 5 pints of lymphatic fluid, which is clear fluid, whereas the blood has so many red blood cells that, of course, it looks red. But what it does is that it's not only it's the blood that brings the oxygen to the rest of the body, because the oxygen molecules attach themselves magnetically to the hemoglobin, the iron. And then what it does is that's how you get oxygen to all the body, all the extremities. Now, over 40% of the oxygen we use is used by the brain alone. The brain has as many miles of blood vessels and capillaries as the rest of the body. So, if you're not thinking clearly, it could be a circulation issue. I'm glad you mentioned vision. If you're not seeing properly, it could be a circulation issue. The blood is not getting there. Now, besides bringing oxygen, it also helps bring nutrients to all of the cells. It helps also carry away the waste. That's the bloodstream. It's very much, it's a moving thing, and it has to be moving and circulating. So, the heart plays a part of that, but not as big a part as we've been taught. Ever since kindergarten in the United States, people have been taught that the heart is this great pump that pumps the blood throughout the body, but it really is a pump that pumps the blood into the lungs to release the carbon dioxide and to gain oxygen. But to move the blood throughout the rest of the body, the heart really doesn't have any effect. It only pushes it hard enough out of the last valve of the heart to go about an inch and a half into the arteries. And then what happens is that the arteries are the real pump. The arteries are so different from veins that they're like a completely different organ. Your arteries have muscles surrounding the blood vessel, the tube, and it has a nerve going down each artery. And so what it's doing is, as soon as the blood is pushed out from the heart, the first part of the artery contracts, kind of like squeezing a tube of toothpaste. The first part contracts, which pushes the blood to the next part, then it contracts. So as the current goes down the outside of the artery, it's pushing further and further away from the heart. That's what we're talking about, circulation. To bring it back, the veins have no muscle in the walls, and they work off of suction. So that's why deep breathing is so important, is that the only way to get the blood back up from the feet or toes, if you're standing up, to work against gravity, is that it's basically the lungs are what's pulling the blood back up. It's that whole action that happens from the diaphragm, from the lungs. It's pulling up against gravity, and each time the blood goes through a valve, now arteries don't have valves, but veins do. Each time it goes through a one-way valve, it's like the blood moving towards the heart and lungs against gravity, right? Moving it from the feet up towards the heart and lungs like an elevator. And each time it goes through the valves, and it kind of stops there. And then the next breath moves it to the next level. So the only way to get it up that 50 stories or 100 stories from the feet up to the heart and lungs again is to breathe enough times so that it goes one floor at a time through each of those valves. So I guess that's not a short explanation.
No, that was perfect. I love the analogy. I really got a good visual on that. And I really, I learn something every time you come on, but I have heard about, the understanding, the better understanding about what the heart does. So I did understand that, but a lot of people still think like the heart's doing all the work to get the blood everywhere it needs to go. So I'm glad you clarified that. But Burt, so a lot of us are walking around shallow breathers, and we're feeling like, numbness or issues, with our lower extremities or even our hands. So is that like the circulatory system? Is that the artery system that you just discussed?
Yes. When we talk about the arteries trying to squeeze it through, and I use the example of a tube of toothpaste, what you don't want is your blood to be as thick as toothpaste, right? You want it to be very, very liquid. Blood is supposed to remain at 96% water. Okay, so that means if we're not drinking enough water, we can't get the blood moving. But what happens is on that circulation, you've got to have the blood to be a natural consistency, to not be so thick. So when you talk about the shallow breathing, that happens when we're under stress. As a nation, I don't think in my lifetime there's been any time I can remember that everyone in the country has been under as much stress every single day, unrelenting stress, as we've experienced in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's been bad.
So without that, the circulation really slows down. And then on top of that, a lot of the complications from different viruses that people are experiencing in the country are causing the blood to thicken and to slow down, sometimes even to coagulate. So we've got to have plenty of good clean water. We need to keep our energy levels high. We need to be able to totally relax. I know this is not maybe the time of the year, except where you're at in Florida, to think about going out and sunbathing, but wow, you've got to make time for it. Even if it's only 1 or 2 days a week, you've got to get outside and be able to lie for 10 to 15 minutes without any sunscreen in your skin. Just get out there and get the most sun on your skin that you can. I do it for 15 minutes on each side, and then I try to do that every weekend, even if I can't do it during the week. That, you'll find, relaxes the body from the solar energy from the sun, raises the electricity in the body, relaxes it to the point that most people will start to doze off or sleep. Even if they can't sleep at night and they have terrible insomnia, they'll find out when they get out and they start doing sunbathing, they'll start to doze. They'll start to sleep. Now, you want to set an alarm. You don't want to be out there without sunscreen and fall asleep for hours and hours, but
no, that's great advice. And I know that, my daughter does that. She'll come home really hungry and cranky and just really overtired from school, and we got a hammock in the back. She goes there and conks out in the sun for just like 20 minutes and comes back like a new human. I love it. It's like, yay!
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. It'll make a huge difference, and so much of that is the increasing electricity in the body. And the other part of it is that the sun also helps with the circulation. So with the product that we have called Advanced Formula Super Circulation, it's an herbal complex. And when it says on the bottle the most complete formula for healthy blood circulation, it really is. I mean, we don't just say that without checking out every other formula. So it ends up being that this product has become the #1 selling circulation product in health food stores across the country. It has as an herbal complex. First of all, it has real niacin. Now, when people say, okay, with the real niacin, you're going to experience kind of a warm glow to your skin, what's called a niacin flush. Sometimes there's a little bit of tingling involved. What that means is it's able to help open up capillaries that have been closed for a long, long time. It's kind of like if we say our foot fell asleep or our leg fell asleep, and then when it comes back, we feel this tingling. Some people say it almost feels like pins and needles or something.
Yep.
That is the blood getting back to an area of the body where it's been restricted from, right?
Yeah, and I hate that feeling. It's so concerning.
I know. So with the niacin flush, it's not quite as strong a feeling as that, but that's part of what it has. Is it has each capsule has 25 milligrams of real niacin. Okay, a lot of formulas will put niacinamide, which is a variation that is not as strong at opening up the capillaries, and so a person doesn't feel that niacin flush. But with each capsule, it has that, and then it has all of these different. It has 17 different herbs, and really in large quantities. But a single capsule has 400 milligrams of red-rooted sage root, which is concentrated 20 to 1, so it can fit into the capsule. It has English hawthornberry, ginkgo leaf, butcher's broom root, Conidium seed, motherwort leaf, ginger root, horse chestnut seed, cinnamon bark, cat's claw bark. It has 2 amino acids, L-citrulline, which in nature is really only found in abundance in watermelons. But why that's so important is that becomes a pro-arginine for the body. It becomes something that the body can convert the citrulline into arginine, and arginine helps dilate the blood vessels so that more blood gets through. It also has L-arginine itself, bilberry leaf, white willow bark, which again helps the blood flow and move better. It has cayenne pepper in it, and it has polycosanol, which is derived from sugar cane. There's no sugar in it, but the polycosanol is one of the most powerful ingredients in the super circulation.
And I love how so much is in one capsule. That's amazing. And yeah, Cliff finally let me hold the bottle, Burt. So it's like I'm not, and I have my glasses on, so I'm not blind anymore. So honestly, you know what? As I'm looking at the formula really closely, I am noticing that if you were to look at like a libido formula, if you were to look at a migraine formula, if you look at all these different categories, it's like your formula would meet the needs of all these other things that sometimes happen as a symptom of a circulatory issue. So I love this. It has butcher's broom, varicose veins is what is suggested for that. Like, really cool stuff. I love it.
Yeah, it really is the most complete, and it's interesting. Sometimes it's hard to find the ingredients, even though we try to source them from the cleanest, best fields where they're grown in the world. Sometimes you almost can't find it, so people say, well, let's just go ahead and make it without that. I said, no, if we can't find all the ingredients, we're not going to make it, because there's a synergy here in this formula that is beyond just the sum of the ingredients. It's like the 1 + 1 = 3 synergy of having all of the right amounts of the right herbs, the amino acids, the cayenne, all of those things.
Yeah, and that's what I love about you and your company standards, because there are people that if they can't get the quality of ingredients or the combination of ingredients, they're worried about their sales, they will cut corners. And I try not to carry any companies that would do that, but many are doing that, especially right now. And I'm so glad you're sticking to that ethics, because it's important. And this formula looks absolutely amazing, especially the citrulline. If anyone just even has a moment to Google even citrulline alone, that gets really exciting, all the uses for that. And oh my God, even polycosanol, like these are good, tested for many, many years herbs. Great formula.
Yeah, it kind of took off out of all of the different capsules that we make. Digestive Energy, High Energy C Complex, Night Eyes, the premium grade bee pollen royal jelly. Out of everything, what is the number one seller is Super Circulation, and we have some stores that are selling maybe 10 bottles a day. I mean, they're calling several times a month and just bringing in huge quantities. And I always call them back and say, okay, what's going on? What are you guys doing? And we're finding that a lot of people that have noticed a numbness in their extremities. I know this happened a lot in New York, is that there were stores that said, I had people coming in saying, what can I do? Because I walk, they're able to get up and walk and get around, but they can't feel their feet touching the ground. Can you imagine what it would be like to have your feet so numb that you can't even really tell? I mean, you're walking, you know that they're touching the ground, but you can't feel them.
Yeah, that's scary.
So they've looked at this formula, and they've started out with just 1 or 2 capsules a day, and when they got up to where they were doing 8 capsules a day, and you typically want to do one at a time until your body gets to the point where all the capillaries are open and you're not feeling nice and flush all the time constantly. So they would do, like a capsule every 2 hours. So at 8 capsules a day, they found out that it only took a week and a half for them to be able to feel their feet again for the first time in 2 or 3 years. So when that happened, this word spread. It was like the store owners and managers said, I don't even have to mention it. It's the people that have had the experience are in the store talking to all the other customers saying, look, this is what happened, So that's what we found, is it's kind of had a life of its own.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So, Burt, let me ask you now, if I understand what you just told me as far as having them increase if they are feeling, numbness in their feet or, unfortunately not feeling them, but what about like weight? So a lot of people are complaining that they gain weight during COVID, and that there's a lot of visceral fat that they're accumulating, especially in the belly. So would the suggestion be the same as much as 8 capsules for them, or would they be able to do a little less? Like, how do I do it as far as if someone's coming in 120 pounds, but they still have say neuropathy and they're feeling a lot of circulation issues, or the person that comes in that's 250 with the big belly? Where would you go from there?
I think that again, 1 capsule is a serving, and so I always encourage people just to start low and then increase it as much as they feel comfortable. Some people will never get to 8 capsules. They just don't feel comfortable doing that. I did get to that, and after a while I noticed that I no longer had a niacin flush. Even when I was taking 2 capsules at a time, 4 times a day, I didn't have that warm flush feeling on the skin, because all of the capillaries were already open. So I would say, it doesn't necessarily mean by body weight, although that's a great question. I would just say For adults, 1 capsule 1 to 3 times daily with water, plenty of water. And especially for people that have weight gain, they're going to have to increase the amount of water they drink. Now, if you're doing shallow breathing, if you're almost holding your breath because, you're listening to news and you're feeling like the world's going to end, and so you find that you're just not breathing, you're holding your breath, that also leads to people not drinking enough water. If you don't breathe, you typically don't hydrate.
Yeah.
I don't know why those two are connected, but they just are. They're just connected. And then you've got more serious problems because if you develop a dry cough, that means you're extremely dehydrated. Extremely. By the time it gets to a dry cough, that means that you are like 5-6 times more dehydrated than what would be called dehydration. I mean, if you have a lack of natural tears and you feel like you have to buy little bottles of artificial tears, you're already down about 15% on the necessary water to stay alive. By the time it gets down to dry mouth, dry throat, you're probably missing 25% of the water you need. By the time you get a dry cough, that means the lungs are not moist enough to do their job.
Wow.
Is this why we wake up in the middle of the night thirsty?
Oh, absolutely. Because the body is breathing, right? You've gotten this great breathe. Especially if you're able to sleep the way you'd like to, you get in this great breathing rhythm, and your body is trying to get rid of the stored fat and the toxins and get rid of that extra weight gain, like you said, that people have developed during the last 2 years. And so it's trying to do all of that, but in order to accomplish that, it needs water. So as much as people say, I don't want to drink water right before you go to bed because, then I'll have to get up during the night and to urinate. And it's like, yeah, but you have to have enough water available to flush the poisons away from the cells, to get it all the way to the kidneys and the bladder so that you can get rid of those poisons that are causing the weight gain as well as another 1,000 problems.
I definitely agree, and I preach about water all day long, and it's like the most difficult conversation for some. So what is your, usually I do, I find that when I used to say an ounce per body weight, that would get them to usually do half of that. So how do you get your clients to drink more water? What are some of your tricks?
I tell them that, it's like eating an elephant one bite at a time. Is that I said, if you only take 1 swallow of water out of your glass every 10 minutes during the day, you will be at almost 1.5 gallons by the time you go to sleep at night.
Okay.
You're like, what? And you're also getting it to the body not all at once, but as it needs it. Now, if you're saying, well, I can't do that every 10 minutes, I say, okay, well then all you have to do is drink 8 ounces of water every hour. So you're looking and going, okay, it's now 8 a.m. I'm going to have another glass of water.
That's what I do too. I tell them to go to the dollar store and get those old-fashioned little juice cups. So that they're barely 8 ounces. Sometimes they're 6. And I say it's so little. It's not intimidating. Just fill that up every hour that you're awake, and you'd be surprised you can get to your gallon. And because sometimes they buy these big water bottles that are so intimidating to them, it's like there's no way. But yeah, so we all have our tricks, right?
Yeah, you're doing great, and it's just, it's just like consistently doing something every day. You would think, I don't see any results. Boy, by the end of a year, you see huge results. So I think everybody's like, I want it now, and it's like, it's not going to happen in the next hour.
I know. I ate a salad. I went to the gym 20 minutes. Why didn't I lose 30 pounds?
I know.
But, Burt, I just thought of a question for the Super Circulation Herbal Complex. There is, because of what we've been discussing, COVID in the last 2 years, all the stress, there are a lot more clients that are on blood type of prescriptions, blood clotters, blood thinners, a lot more than I've ever seen. So is there any cautions with your formula if they are on those prescriptions, either type?
Yes. Right on the bottle it says, consult a physician before using if you're pregnant, nursing a baby, have heart disease, are taking medication, or have any other known medical condition. most doctors will look at this and say, this is excellent, I'll recommend it, but you really need to run it past them, especially if you're on blood thinners. Not that this is a blood thinner type product. It's not. I mean, there are a lot of good natural blood thinners, and that this doesn't have any of those ideas. For example, we love the systemic enzyme nattokinase. And as much as we love it, we won't put it in this formula because then it can't be taken by someone who's on blood thinners. You can't have nattokinase, which is a systemic enzyme that's extracted from soybeans fermentation, even though it's soy-free. You can't take that if you're in a blood thinner. But there's nothing in the super circulation that would prohibit you from doing that, but you do need, the more medical problems you're dealing with, the more you absolutely should not keep your doctor out of the loop.
Okay, perfect advice. I love it. And I always tell people, if your doctor might not know about herbal supplements, then do all the work for them before you go to your appointment so you can present the information. I just made an appointment for my annual blood work, and the doctor asked me a few questions because when I told her all the things I was on, I think her eyes were getting larger and larger. And she really, other than maybe D3 and vitamin K, she really didn't know what the things were. And so when I started telling her, there was no defensiveness. She was open to the conversation. So definitely have a doctor that's open to the conversation and willing to learn. Because, you are your advocate, and you have to sometimes let them know. They're so busy in their day-to-day seeing people, sometimes they don't have a chance, at 10 o'clock at night to start Googling these herbal supplements. So we got to kind of help them. Sound fair, Burt?
Beautifully put. Oh,
Yeah.
that is just, I love the way you said that.
Well, my father-in-law, he's a physician and, a prominent physician, and, he's well-loved and he's a great guy. But when I first met my husband, and he didn't have a clue about any of these things, and now he refers his patients to me. So, it's again, just kind of just planting seeds. So,
Yeah. I didn't grow up in a home that was using natural supplements or really understood any of these things. But as you try, I've tried a lot of things during my life that haven't worked. But I figured, at least I was trying to find out. I was trying things, and I just tell people the same thing with supplements. I'm saying that if you're trying any supplement and you've given it a good fair try and you've been consistent and you've followed the program every day and it's not working for you, then you need to continue your journey of finding out what it is. And when you find something that works for you, then don't become lazy. You still need to do. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yes, and I use that sinking ship analogy. When you get off the sinking ship and you feel great on the big one, don't step back onto the sinking one.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I know, definitely. Well, I am so excited. I hope I do become one of those stores that starts selling, tons of the super circulation herbal complex, because it is a phenomenal formula. And I sell a lot of things for vision and heart and libido and all these things, besides just the numbness and circulatory problems. So this will be good. I'm excited, super excited.
Yeah. And this is not to actually replace those other things, unless a person wants to do that. But this is compatible with all those other supplements. So if you've got somebody that's on a specialty supplement just for one thing, this is, like you said, covers and touches all the bases. So it's a really good.
It's a great foundation item.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely think I'm going to add this to my foundational items for the everyday, like I have my Cell Power. So I do want to, I have some questions, okay? Because I had a client yesterday. She came back as a snowbird, and, I have a lot of them showing up this week. And so the spray of Super Silica and the liquid of Super Silica, you're probably going to laugh at this question, Burt, but she's asking, and I know she's listening. Hi, Marlene. So she does the Cell Power all day long, and she does her Super Silica in the morning, and then after she showers, she sprays the silica spray. So is she going to get that lymphatic action because she's having it so close, or it has to be in the same glass together to have the action? Does that make sense?
Yeah, separately it doesn't do it, and we still don't know why. I mean, even the person that discovered what happens is that if you want the benefits of cell power, it needs to be taken by itself. Don't mix it with super silica in the same glass or the same jug. If you want the benefits of super silica to really, help you with replacing missing silica, help with the silica deficiencies, it needs to be by itself. But if you put it in the same glass or the same gallon jug is what I do. Right here on my desk in my office, I have a 1 gallon glass jug that I fill up every day. But first I put 60 drops of cell power in the bottom, because that's the highest energy. You always go from highest to lowest. Then I put in 60 drops of super silica. Again, you can't even hardly see it. It's an empty jug, right? Only 120 drops. Then I add in a gallon of distilled water, which as you're pouring it in, it mixes itself. You don't have to shake it. You don't have to do anything. Then when you have it together, the lymphatic improvement has to do with the fact that it's now going from electrical potential of 6 million on super silica and 13 million on cell power, but when you mix them together, it goes up to over 46 million.
Wow.
Now, I mean, maybe that number doesn't mean anything to anybody, but it just picture that this is the highest energy in the world that you can put into your body. There is nothing higher than that lymphatic formula. So what it does is it helps the lymph fluids don't move through the arteries. So because of that, there's no muscle to push it along and to circulate it. So it's just the muscles of the body that do that. But if a person walks 1 mile a day and they're taking this lymphatic formula, they will get the lymphatic movement of walking 10 miles a day. So I'm not saying don't walk 10 miles. I'm just saying, like everything else, maybe today you don't have time to walk 10 miles. Or maybe you never walk 10 miles, but you can get that by doing this.
I'm holding my hand up right now. Okay. Oh, my God, that sounds incredible. Okay, so here's another silly question. Where do you find glass gallon jugs?
Well, most of the time people will come into a store and buy like organic apple juice in a gallon, and after they've
like the
consumed
Martinelli's
it all,
big
they'll
ones.
just rinse it out and they keep the jug. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, my God. I used to sell those by the pallets until I started
Yeah.
preaching they have too much sugar. Oh, my gosh. Super awesome. Okay. I might splurge for the holidays to get one of those, because I know the kids will probably drink it in, 12 hours straight. Okay. So that sounds incredible.
Yeah, and there's a way to bring in empty gallon glass jugs, so I can talk to you after the show and we can do that. We now, for all of our employees, it's so funny, almost all of them now own 3 of them. They'll have one at their desk at work, and they have 2 at home, depending on where they're at, or maybe one for them, one for their spouse. It's just easy to mix it up. Now, it's not that you can't mix it up in each glass, but there's actually more electricity produced by mixing it at a gallon at a time than what's produced in one glass.
Okay, so I know my listeners, Burt, and they might not have written down your formula until you got to the point where you said, yeah, it's like equivalency of 10 miles. So can you tell me the formula once again so everyone can write it down this time?
Yes, and this was discovered by an iridologist who helps people by looking at the iris of the eye, and he tried to convince me for 2 or 3 years to even try it, and I was just slow to pick it up. But here's the formula. It is in an empty 1 gallon glass jug, you put in 60 drops. That's 60 drops of cell power. I mean, almost every night at home when I go to refill my thing, I'm sitting here counting the 60 drops. My wife was saying to me, and I'm holding it in my hand like I'm counting to 60. So I put in my 60 drops of cell power, then 60 drops of super silica of the supplements. That's 120 drops total. Then you fill that with distilled water. If you don't have distilled, then at least use a good reverse osmosis purified drinking water. When that does it, the whole jug has that energy. Now, the reason we can't sell it pre-done for you to make it simple is that it only holds that higher energy for 4 days. So as long as you drink everything that's in that jug within a 4-day period of time, and I try to empty the whole thing every day, but, let's say the person goes like, I don't drink that much. Even if you're, drinking a quart a day, you're still getting some benefit. Obviously your body can use more than a quart. But after 4 days, it goes right back down to the lower energy. So we can't mix it up ahead of time and sell it because before it ever even got to the store shelf, it would be back down to the lower energy.
I think this is, done on not you doing it, but you know who doing this to get people to drink more water. It's like, I love it because I'm like really motivated. I drink the 5-gallon glass water we have in our water cooler. But I definitely love the idea of glass. I feel like it inspires you, like it feels healthier and cleaner. So we will definitely talk after the show about how we can hook up my customers with some glass gallon jugs.
Oh,
all right.
And
awesome.
when you talk about glass, I always ask people, what is glass made of? They're going, sand. And I go,
oh, I know
silica.
the answer. I know the answer.
It's purified silica.
Yes.
You're actually putting it in a silica container that's made out of silicon.
Yep, I love it. Now, some people right now might not know all the amazing benefits of super silica, so we started the show talking about cell power and how incredible it is. You want to take the last, 6 or so minutes and talk about super silica and why they should be taking it in general?
Well, yes, it's because our eating habits as a culture over the last 50 years have changed so much that instead of eating cabbage every single day, lightly steamed or raw cabbage, we just don't do that on a 7-day-a-week basis. It's back in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. As far as a time frame, people ate more silica-rich foods. So because we have now are experiencing as a country all of the severe deficiency symptoms of not having enough silica-rich foods. So super silica is just as easy to take as cell power. You still count the drops. It's 12 drops in a 16-ounce glass. You need 3 times as many drops. It's not quite as concentrated as the cell power. But you're getting the tiniest particles of silica. Every particle of silica, there's no formula that has smaller size particles, but each particle has a slight positive electric charge. Not a negative charge, but a positive charge, which means it's attracted to the healthy negative charges in the body, which are the inside of each cell in order to be alive has to have a slight negative charge. So it means that the cells are actually pulling the super silica. As you drink it, it's not ending up in the bloodstream until it mixes with the lymph. But what is happening is that as you put the drops in your water and then you go to drink it, and right now I'm drinking 8 16-ounce glasses of super silica a day because of my current nutritional program. So I won't do that forever, but for the next 6 weeks, I'm going to be doing that. So what that means is that as you're drinking it, instead of going through the stomach and digestive system, most of the silica is absorbed in the mucous membranes of the mouth and the esophagus on the way down to the stomach before it ever gets to the stomach. It goes right into the lymph stream, okay, and it goes right in to be circulated. Now, again, every 2 minutes, all of the lymph mixes with the blood, so eventually get in the blood. But as super silica gets to your body, it helps with these severe deficiency symptoms that did not exist 40 or 50 years ago. That includes spider veins. Now, maybe we've talked about this before, but it used to be that the only people in the country that had spider veins were sometimes women in their 70s or 80s, so elderly women. We're now seeing spider veins in 17 and 18-year-old kids in high school.
Definitely. I recognize that as well. Yep.
Okay, that means that you've lost so much silica in the smaller blood vessels that the blood is no longer hidden by the wall of the blood vessel. It's just there visible, which means it's just about to come out. We're talking aneurysms can happen. The same thing. I've had a friend that just as he's retiring, about to go do a vacation with his wife, he died from a brain aneurysm, and a lot of that is a lack of silica And so the wall became too thin of the blood vessel. So you've got spider veins, varicose veins, irregular heartbeats, unexplained arrhythmia or tachycardia. These are all severe silica deficiency. Bipolar disorder. There's no way that a person can get Alzheimer's unless they're low in silica. If you have all the silica your body needs, you have only one chance in a billion of ever developing Alzheimer's. I mean, if people really were serious about, they may be scared to death of it, but they're not doing anything. And the easiest thing, and I'm not saying you can't eat silica-rich foods. That would be raw cabbage. It would be brown rice every day. It would be Brazil nuts. If you're eating nuts, you may have your almonds, your cashews, whatever, walnuts, but you want to have, it takes 17 Brazil nuts to get all the silica you need that day. So most people won't eat that many.
Definitely
so
not.
Super silica is the easy way to replace this, and your body pulls it right into the cells.
Wow. Burt, I love your passion, I love your commitment, and I love that you have these amazing products that actually work. So once again, I thank you for being on the show with us. I hope you and all your big family have an amazing Christmas and holiday season. And again, thank you. I'm so grateful for you in our lives, and thank you. Have a great one.
You're welcome, and thank you so much, and likewise, happy holidays to your family.
Thank you. All right, so everyone, I hope you enjoyed Burt today because he always teaches us new and exciting things with so much passion. Don't forget to check out our wellness center. So right next to the store, we have the beautiful wellness center, massage, infrared sauna, PEMF, Iron Foot Detox, and gift certificates are available. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
You've been listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World, downtown Fort Pierce, at the corner of US 1 and Orange Avenue, actually US 1 between Orange Avenue and Avenue A, in the Crash Plaza, formerly known as the Historic Arcade Building. Stop by the shop today and ask about the Super Silica and what it can do for you. If you have any questions, of course, contact Joanne. Joanne'sNutritionWorld.com. Heard every Thursday morning in the 10 o'clock hour, right here on WPSL. Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, webcaster to the world on Google Home, Alexa, and the TuneIn app on your smartphone.